Yeah, one thing I thought was interesting about I was listening to Ben Shapiro. I don't remember exactly what podcast he was on, but he was talking about the favorite book that he's written, and he said his favorite book that he's written was The Right Side of History, and he said it was his favorite because he feels like that book stands the test of time. Like it's based on principles and fundamentals and things that happen that really won't change. He was like where like his current work, well, like he's covering daily news and every day he's like reacting to whatever just happened recently or whatever. He was like, a lot of nonfiction and a lot of the news, like it doesn't last long. Like it's relevant now, but like, in 2 years, it's not relevant anymore. It just kind of disappears. Like he said, but if you have fiction, if you have religion, like this stuff can be written once and last for 2,000 years. Right. And then maybe because it's considered the infallible word of God or whatever, that's why it can last long, because anything else you write that's based on logic, a new scientific study comes out and you might have to change your mind, which is a good thing when it comes to being right. But it's not as reliable in the long run.
You're right, and it reminds me and I actually sent you the clip where Sam Harris was talking to, I think, Yuval Noah, uh, and there was a certain point where Yuval was talking about the importance of fiction as it relates to society, and Sam didn't like it. It rubbed him the wrong way, at least as it relates to him calling it fiction. Um, but I think it, and I don't like it either. If you're just
Logical principle.
right on logical principles, I don't like it. I don't like the importance of fiction, but like you've always saying, as it relates to like the dollar, the dollar is just a piece of paper. It's just like, and he was saying in that context, you could see it as like, he's like the strongest thing. This is how he framed it. He's like, the strongest thing keeping America together right now is the U.S. dollar, and he's like, that's essentially fictional. It's just like it's a piece of paper that represents something, but it's just like that is an example of the importance of fiction in a society and how it could hold things together. And I guess I have to give more value to that, where I think a Jordan Peterson, I think, gives too much value to it. But I think there is some value to it that it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But I do think that it addresses issues in society, and I have to be honest about it.
Well, here's what I'll say: humans are not high quality creatures. I mean, we're high
Right,
quality, I mean, relative to the other animals, right? But relative to what perfect could be, right? If we were thinking about perfect beings,
right.
humans would not be the example
No, not
of
at
what a
all.
perfect being looks like, right? So, if we're talking about theoretically perfect beings, or like moving towards being better, then we should need less of the fiction. We should need less of our mama telling us a
Right,
story to
right,
to, to scare the boogeyman away.
right,
We should need less of that. But if you look at us as we are, right? Not as we maybe should be, maybe not as we aspire to be, but as we currently are in an honest way, then that unreason and that fiction, if it's something that the customer, so for instance, I was talking to my wife about, she mentioned that the CEO of her company is really big on body language, and I'm like, I really don't care about body language. Like whether you come across confident, whether you slouch, just standing up straight, or whether you speak loudly or quietly. I don't care about none of that. What are you saying? Right? If what you're saying is
right.
right, if it's backed up by the data, if it's a good strategic move, I don't care how it looks. I don't care how it's presented to me. I care about, is it actually good? Now I said the exception to that is if you're a salesperson, right? Because if you're a salesperson, even though I'm logical enough to say I'm not going to get distracted by that BS, I know that the public is not logical enough to not get distracted by that BS, right? So,
Right.
like, even though it doesn't matter to me on a principled, logical basis, the person who does have those skills will succeed more in real life because other people are not that logical, and that's just the truth
Right.
of it.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I'm not I'm not big on body language either. Um, but I would say in a different exception, I'll give value to it in terms of lying. So it's just like where now what you're saying to me, it goes against how it's being presented. Then I do factor some body language, but like that's just a
Oh,
different
you're just trying to tell if they're
scenario.
lying by the.
Right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
right,
I'm just talking about anything like, for instance, like if you're, let's say you're an extremely attractive woman, right? It's like the presentation may go better, the sales call may go.
right.
It's not relevant at
Absolutely,
all, right?
thousand
Like
percent, 1000%,
it doesn't matter
thousand
that you're
percent.
attractive, but it does,
Right,
right? Like it doesn't matter
right.
principally, it doesn't matter logically, but if it's a client facing thing, if it's a consumer facing thing, then it does matter. So I think that's the distinction that we have here. Is like these fictions. If you're, an optimal human being who's intelligent, then it's like I don't need these fictions, right? But like, given that we're not like that, as a group in aggregate, it's like, well, if the market needs that dumb stuff, and like everybody's trying to watch Cartoon Network, you're trying to give them C-SPAN, it's like you're just gonna lose at the end of the day. It's nothing
Yeah,
you can do.
yeah. I mean, it's it's hard. It's hard to think of a solution. It's hard to think of a solution, and
But anybody listening, if you got a solution, let us know
yeah,
because
absolutely,
we need it.
absolutely.